Every financial expert in the United States will tell you that you need at least $2 million to enjoy a comfortable retirement. Some even suggest $3 million. The more cautious ones might say you should aim for $5 million. The retirement planning sector has crafted an entire business around persuading you that achieving financial freedom is impossibly pricey, that it will take years of saving and sacrifices, making retirement before 65 a dream reserved only for the affluent. They couldn't be more mistaken. Not just a little off, but hugely misguided, because they're focusing on the wrong aspect. They're figuring out how much cash you need to keep up your current lifestyle in your present location with your existing spending patterns. I'm here to share a different perspective. I'm going to reveal how much money you actually need to stop working for others altogether, to wake up every morning and choose how to spend your time based on what truly matters to you rather than what puts money in your pocket, to generate enough passive income so that having a job becomes a choice, not a necessity. Those are totally different questions with entirely different answers. And the response to the second question, which is the only one that really counts, is $300,000. Not $3 million, not $2 million, $300,000. Now, before you brush this off as unrealistic or overly optimistic or out of touch with reality, let me break down the numbers for you. Let me show you the geographic arbitrage calculations that the financial services sector doesn't want you to know about. Because if you grasped these figures, you'd see that you could achieve financial freedom in 5 to 10 years instead of 30 or 40. And they'd miss out on decades of management fees and commissions. This isn't just a pipe dream. This is basic math. It's been accurate for a century and will remain so for the next 100 years. And it all begins with understanding what retirement truly means. The retirement planning industry has led most folks to believe that retirement is about keeping their pre-retirement lifestyle going forever. If you're shelling out $70,000 a year while you're on the job, you'll need enough cash to keep spending that same amount for the rest of your life once you retire. That sounds reasonable until you dig a little deeper into the assumptions behind it. The first assumption is that you'll want to keep spending the same way. That's not quite right. A lot of what people spend in retirement is actually just spending to cope. It's money spent to handle the stress and time pressures that come with working. You might splurge on fancy dinners because you don't have time to whip up a meal. You buy new outfits for the office. You take pricey vacations because you only get 2 weeks off each year. You invest in a nice car because your daily commute is a hassle, and you feel you deserve some comfort. You spend on entertainment and hobbies to unwind from work-related stress. But once you take the job out of the equation, a lot of that spending isn't necessary anymore. You've got time to cook. You don't need work attire. You can travel during off-peak seasons when prices are lower. You're not commuting. You're not stressed out, so you don't need those costly ways to cope. The real expense of enjoying a good life without a job is anywhere from 30 to 50% lower than living that same life while employed. Now, let's move on to the second point. You'll be staying in the same location. Why is that? If your job is what keeps you tied to a pricey city, why stick around once the job is gone? The cost of living difference between San Francisco and Lisbon is a whopping 70%. When you compare New York to Chiang Mai, it's 85%. And between Seattle and Medellin, it's 75%. You can enjoy a much better quality of life in countless spots around the globe for a small fraction of what you're currently spending. Think about it. Nicer weather, tastier food, richer culture, more time outside, closer to nature, and stronger communities. The only reason not to think about these places is if you're held back by a job or family ties. Cut those ties and suddenly the whole world opens up to you at prices that make retirement achievable with way less money. Now, on to the third point. You have to replace your income. That's not quite right. What you really need to do is cover your expenses. Those are two different figures. A lot of folks mix up income with expenses because during their working years, those figures are connected. Your earnings dictate how much you can spend. However, when you retire, income doesn't really matter. What counts are your expenses. If you can manage just fine on $18,000 a year, you don't need to worry about replacing your income. You simply need $18,000 annually. This is where the math gets intriguing. If you invest $300,000 wisely in dividend-paying stocks that yield 4%, you can pull in $12,000 a year in passive income without dipping into your initial investment. That breaks down to $1,000 a month. In the United States, $1,000 a month is considered poverty. In Portugal, it's a decent middle-class lifestyle. In Thailand, it's seen as upper middle class. In Colombia, Vietnam, Albania, or many other places, it's enough to rent a nice place, eat well, access healthcare, enjoy some entertainment, and even save a bit. It's not just about surviving, it's about comfort, security, and freedom. The financial services sector doesn't share this with you because their whole business model is built around managing as much of your cash for as long as they can. If they were to let you in on the fact that $300,000, when invested wisely, could grant you endless freedom, you might choose to retire at 40 instead of 65. That's 25 fewer years of fees they could rake in. So what do they do instead? They sell you a narrative of fear. They present inflation calculators that assume you'll be spending the same amount for 40 years straight. They throw healthcare cost estimates at you that presume you'll rely on the pricey American system. They share longevity charts that imply you might live until 95 and require funding for 50 years. Everything is crafted to keep you in a cycle of saving, working, and paying fees for many years. Here's what they don't reveal. Picture this. Take $300,000 and invest it in a globally diversified mix of dividend-paying stocks and low-cost index funds. Aim for a 4% yield through a blend of dividends and safe withdrawals. This could bring you in $12,000 a year or $1,000 a month. All right, let's talk about finding a spot where $1,000 a month lets you live pretty comfortably. We're not talking about anything fancy or luxurious, just a nice, cozy life. Think about a one-bedroom place in a safe area. You'd have decent meals cooked at home with the occasional dinner out. You'd have access to local health care, either through the national system or some affordable private insurance. You'd need internet and a phone, of course. A little bit of entertainment and hobbies here and there. Maybe some travel within the region now and then. This kind of lifestyle can be found in countries like Portugal, Spain, Greece, Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Albania, Bulgaria, and at least 30 more. In a lot of these spots, $1,000 a month isn't just getting by. It's actually living pretty well by local standards. You'll find better weather than in most American cities, a richer food culture, a healthier work-life balance, more walkable towns, better public transport, and stronger community ties. The quality of life here isn't any worse than what you'd find in the American middle class. In fact, it's often even better. The only thing you're sacrificing is being close to your family and friends, which is a big deal for some folks and not so much for others. If you're in a position where you can be flexible with where you live, $300,000 is truly enough to retire comfortably. This isn't just a theory, it's a reality. There are tens of thousands of people living this lifestyle right now. The community of those taking advantage of geographic arbitrage is vast and expanding. Many have come to understand that the retirement calculator suggesting they need $2 million is based on keeping up an expensive lifestyle in a pricey area, and that a whole different set of numbers comes into play if they're open to relocating. Now, let's tackle the common concerns because I've heard them all. The first concern is about healthcare. American healthcare can be incredibly costly, without employer support. But remember, American healthcare isn't the only choice out there. Most developed nations have public healthcare systems that are either free or quite affordable for their residents. For instance, Portugal's National Health Service provides coverage for residents, including foreign retirees, for under $50 a month. Spain's system is quite similar. Numerous countries offer private health insurance for foreign residents, with prices ranging from $100 to $300 a month for comprehensive plans. Private hospitals in Thailand deliver top-notch care at costs that are only 10 to 20% of what you'd pay in the United States. Medical tourism has become a huge industry, mainly because healthcare in many parts of the world is just a fraction of American prices. For example, a knee replacement that costs $40,000 in the US is only $8,000 in Spain and $4,000 in Thailand. You get the same results: skilled surgeons and modern facilities. The argument against retiring abroad based on healthcare often assumes that American healthcare is the best, which may hold true for cutting-edge experimental treatments, but is not the case for everyday care. When it comes to regular care, many nations provide similar or even better results at significantly lower prices. Now, let's tackle the second concern. What about inflation? That's a fair point. A withdrawal rate of 4% assumes that your initial amount keeps its buying power. If you're taking out $12,000 each year and inflation is at 3%, your actual ability to withdraw decreases over time. There are 3 ways to handle this. First, keep your $300,000 invested in stocks, which have historically outpaced inflation. If the market gives you a 7% return and you're withdrawing 4%, your principal grows by about 3%, which roughly keeps up with inflation. This way, your $12,000 yearly withdrawal still holds its value. Second, many folks who retire in places with lower costs find ways to earn a little extra cash. They might teach English online, do freelance consulting, run small online businesses, or create content. When you're living on $12,000 a year, bringing in an extra $3,000 or $4,000 from occasional gigs can make a big difference and is pretty easy to pull off without needing a traditional job. All right, let's break it down. First off, let's talk about having a flexible lifestyle. When inflation chips away at your buying power by around 15 or 20%, over a period of 10 years, you learn to adapt. Maybe you decide to move to a neighborhood that's a bit more affordable. You start whipping up more meals at home instead of dining out. You scale back on travel plans. The difference between $12,000 a year in spending and just getting by is pretty significant in inexpensive countries. A few small changes can help you keep your quality of life intact, even if your buying power takes a hit. Now, on to the next point. What about family and friends? That's a valid concern. Retiring in a different place often means being far away from your current social circle, unless they decide to join you. For some folks, that's just not feasible. There could be aging parents to care for, young kids, or strong ties to a community. If you're really anchored to a certain spot due to commitments you can't ignore, then $300,000 probably won't cut it unless you're looking at a low-cost area in America. But a lot of people tend to overestimate how attached they really are. Adult kids typically don't require you to be just around the corner. Video chats and yearly visits can keep those connections strong. Sure, aging parents can be a genuine limitation, but it's often just a temporary situation. And there are definitely ways to manage care from afar if needed. Friends tend to drift apart as time goes by, no matter where they are. The pals you had in your 20s aren't necessarily the same ones you keep in your 40s. New friendships pop up wherever you settle down. The retirement community focused on geographic arbitrage is filled with folks who were anxious about feeling lonely. but they discovered that they quickly formed new social circles in their new spots, often stronger than the ones they left behind, because the shared experience of taking an unconventional route creates strong connections. I'm not downplaying the impact of being far from family. I'm just saying it's a cost that should be weighed honestly, instead of assuming it's too much to handle. For some, it really is too much. For others, it's a trade-off they're ready to make for years of freedom. Now, on to the fourth concern. What if things go sideways? What if you find yourself needing more cash? What if an emergency pops up? There are two responses. First, you still have $300,000. It's invested, not gone. If a genuine emergency pops up, you can tap into that money. You're not stuck with the 4% withdrawal rule. It's more of a suggestion for sustainable, ongoing withdrawals, not a strict law. If you find yourself needing to take out 8% one year due to an emergency, go for it. Your financial runway might get a bit shorter, but you'll manage the situation. Next, the flexibility works in both directions. If you decide to leave your job with $300,000 at 40, live for a decade on $12,000 a year. By taking advantage of geographic arbitrage in retirement and later choose to go back to a regular job, you can do that. You'll be 50 with $300,000 still in your account. Maybe even more if the markets were favorable. Plus a decade of life experiences that most folks never get to have. You're not stuck in a corner. You're enjoying a 10-year break funded by your savings, with the option to jump back into earning if your situation or desires shift. Let's make this real with actual figures in actual places, because theoretical numbers don't really persuade anyone. Let's start with the first scenario. Lisbon, Portugal. You can find a one-bedroom flat in a nice area for around 600 to 800 euros each month, which is roughly $650 to $850. The bills, including internet, come to about $100 monthly. If you're cooking most of your meals at home and eating out occasionally, groceries for one person will set you back around $300 to $400 a month. Healthcare through the Portuguese national system costs about $40 a month. If you use public transport and take a taxi now and then, expect to spend around $50 monthly. Your phone bill will be about $20. For entertainment, hobbies, and other miscellaneous costs, you might spend between $100 to $150 each month. All in all, your monthly expenses will be around $1,200 to $1,400, which adds up to about $14,000 to $17,000 a year. You're living in a stunning European city with amazing food, great weather, safe neighborhoods, walkable streets, and easy access to the rest of Europe with affordable flights. By any reasonable measure, your quality of life is pretty high. $300,000 bringing in $12,000 each year gets you pretty close to your goal, with just a little gap you can fill by doing some light freelance gigs or by tightening your budget a bit. Now, let's talk about scenario 2, Chiang Mai, Thailand. You can find a one-bedroom apartment in a nice neighborhood with a pool and gym for around $300 to $400 a month. Utilities, which include speedy internet, will run you about $50. For food, even if you enjoy dining out at local spots, you're looking at around $300. Private health insurance will cost you about $100. If you rent a scooter for getting around, that's another $50. Your phone bill will be around $10. And for entertainment and other odds and ends, budget about $100. So in total, you're looking at roughly $900 to $1,000 a month, which adds up to about $11,000 to $12,000 a year. You'll be living in a vibrant city with amazing food, warm weather all year long, top-notch healthcare at reasonable prices, a strong expat community, and the rest of Southeast Asia just a weekend trip away. That $300,000 generating $12,000 annually covers all of this with some extra cash left over. Now, let's move on to scenario 3. Medellin, Colombia. A one-bedroom apartment in the Poblado or Laureles neighborhoods will set you back about $400 to $600 a month. Utilities will be around $70. For food, you can budget about $250. Health insurance will be around $120. Getting around with the subway and cabs? That'll set you back about $60. Your phone bill? Around $15. When it comes to entertainment, you're looking at roughly $100. So all in all, you'd be spending somewhere between $1,000 to $1,200 each month, which adds up to around $12,000 to $14,000 a year. You're in a city that boasts perfect weather year-round, a fantastic coffee scene, healthcare that won't break the bank, a growing community of expats, and safety that's on the up and up. You can manage all this with about $300,000, leaving you with a little safety net. Now, if you take a look at those three situations and stack them up against the cost of living a straightforward middle-class life in American cities, things look different. In a second-tier American city like Austin or Denver, the rent for a studio or one-bedroom apartment starts at around $1,500 to $2,000 each month. Add another $150 for utilities. If you're cooking most of your meals, figure on about $500 for food. Health insurance can be anywhere from $400 to $700, depending on your age and the plan you choose. Transportation costs, whether it's a car payment or commuting, can run you between $300 to $500. Your phone bill? Around $60. Entertainment? Add in another $150. So you're looking at a total of $3,000 to $4,000 a month at a minimum, which works out to $36,000 to $48,000 a year. To pull in $36,000 annually at a 4% withdrawal rate, you're going to need around $900,000 saved up. And to hit $48,000, you're looking at needing about $1.2 million. That's 3 to 4 times the amount of money needed for geographic arbitrage retirement if you want a similar or even lower quality of life. This is the reason why the usual retirement advice is so off base. It's based on the priciest scenario possible and labels that as the bare minimum. Now, let's dive into how you can actually gather $300,000, because the timeline is crucial. If you're 25 and save diligently, hitting $300,000 is doable by 35 or 40. If you're 45, you can reach it by 50 or 55. If you're already 60, the timeline shifts, but the goal is still more attainable than $2 million. Here's the breakdown. Let's say you can stash away $2,000 each month, which totals $24,000 a year. That's ambitious but feasible for someone making $75,000 to $100,000 a year who lives simply and values freedom over spending. Put that $24,000 a year into low-cost stock index funds that average an 8% return. After 10 years, you'll have $360,000. After 15 years, you'll be looking at $670,000. The magic of compound interest really does the heavy lifting if you let it do its thing over time and avoid messing it up with withdrawals or panicking during market dips. Now, if saving $2,000 each month feels out of reach, just tweak your timeline. Aim for saving $1,000 a month, which adds up to $12,000 a year. After 15 years with an 8% return, you'd be looking at around $270,000. It's not quite $300,000, but it's close enough that a few extra years of steady work or moving to a slightly cheaper area can make it happen. Fast forward to 20 years, and you could have about $460,000, well above the mark. The key takeaway is that hitting $300,000 is doable within a sensible time frame for folks with middle-class salaries who are ready to save diligently and keep their spending in check during their saving years. It's not a walk in the park. It takes commitment and some sacrifices, plus resisting the urge to inflate your lifestyle as your income grows, which trips up a lot of people. But it's achievable in a way that aiming for 2 or 3 million just isn't realistic for most. Here's how the saving phase actually plays out in real life. You live in an affordable neighborhood or share a place with others to keep housing expenses down. You drive an older car that you take care of yourself. Most of your meals are cooked at home. You pick up side gigs to boost your earnings. You steer clear of consumer debt entirely. Instead of upgrading your lifestyle, you put every raise and bonus into investments. You keep a close eye on your spending to spot any waste. You make the most of your taxes by using retirement accounts. You steer away from pricey hobbies and flashy spending. This might sound like a drag to folks who prioritize enjoying the present, but for those aiming for future freedom, it feels liberating. The key difference here is how you view time. If you care more about today's comfort than tomorrow's freedom, you'll likely spend your raises on a fancier apartment, a nicer car, and better vacations. On the flip side, if you prioritize tomorrow's freedom over today's comfort, you'll save those raises and let them grow. Neither approach is wrong. They just reflect different values leading to different results. What I'm saying is that the second route can lead to optional work in about 10 to 20 years, depending on where you start and how much you save. The first route, on the other hand, means you'll have to work until you're in your 60s or 70s. A lot of folks say they want freedom, but their spending habits show they actually prefer comfort. The few who truly opt for freedom and adjust their actions accordingly find out that $300,000 in geographic arbitrage can make freedom possible much sooner than they were led to believe. Now, let's tackle one more concern because it's the toughest one for many people to handle. The concern is this: I don't want to leave America. I don't want to live in another country, learning a new language, trying different foods, and being surrounded by a different culture. I just want the life I have without having to work for it. This concern really shows whether geographic arbitrage retirement is a realistic option for you. If you're the kind of person who finds your identity and feels safe in American culture, lifestyle, closeness to family, and all the conveniences that come with it, then no, $300,000 probably won't cut it. You'll need more cash to support a pricier way of living. However, I'd suggest you take a moment to think about whether that preference is genuine and profound, or just a surface-level choice based on your current situation. A lot of folks believe they couldn't possibly find happiness living overseas, but after spending a couple of weeks in places like Portugal, Mexico, or Thailand, they come to realize that not only could they be content, but they might even be more fulfilled. Better weather can lift your spirits. A richer food culture can boost your health. Cities that are easier to walk around in can enhance your fitness. A slower pace of life can reduce stress. A stronger sense of community can improve your relationships, and a lower cost of living can bring more security. Many of the elements that contribute to a good life are more accessible in countries where living expenses are lower than in American cities designed mainly for work and consumerism. The preference for life in America often comes down to sticking with what's familiar rather than seeking out something that might be better. When folks actually try out other options, a good number of them find they like it more. Not everyone, of course. Some genuinely find their happiness in American culture and systems, and for those individuals, the idea of geographic arbitrage doesn't really apply. However, many people think they belong in that group without ever giving it a shot. I'm suggesting you give it a try before you assume that the only way to retire comfortably is by saving up $2 million. Here's a little experiment for you. Take a month off. Spend 4 weeks in a place like Lisbon, Shanghai, or Medi. Rent a spot through Airbnb. Cook your own meals. Stroll through the neighborhoods. Use public transport. Sign up for a gym. Hit up coffee shops. Live like a local instead of a tourist. Keep a close eye on your spending. By the end of the month, you'll have real data instead of just guesses. You'll find out what it truly costs to live there. You'll discover if you could be happy in that place. You'll figure out if the trade-offs are worth it. For around $2,000 in total, you can find out if retiring through geographic arbitrage is a good fit for you. That's the most affordable and beneficial financial planning you can undertake. Because if you discover it works for you, you've just cut down your working years by 10 or 20. If it doesn't work out, you gain some important insights about yourself and can tweak your plans as needed. A lot of folks never try this out. They think they know the answer without actually testing it. Then they end up spending 30 years chasing a retirement goal based on unverified assumptions. That's just crazy. Go and test that assumption. Spend a month in Portugal. If you don't like it, you've only lost a month and $2,000. If you enjoy it, you could be looking at decades of freedom. The potential upside of that gamble is huge. Now, let's dive into what life is really like in geographic arbitrage retirement, because the specifics are important. You wake up without needing an alarm. The initial hour of your day belongs to you. Whether it's sipping coffee, diving into a book, jotting down thoughts, working out, or anything else that resonates with you. There are no commutes, no meetings, and no emails demanding your attention. You get to shape your day based on what excites you and how much energy you have, rather than feeling pressured by duties. Perhaps you focus on a little side project that brings in some extra cash. Maybe you pick up a new language. You could be writing, painting, or crafting something. You might choose to exercise, read, and whip up a fancy meal. Or you could catch up with friends over coffee and spend a few hours chatting away. You might even stroll through your city without any specific destination in mind. The framework is entirely up to you. Some folks find this concept quite daunting. Without a set structure and obligations, they struggle to figure out how to fill their time. These individuals aren't the best fit for early retirement. They require a job to help them manage their time and give their lives meaning. On the flip side, there are those who see endless time as the ultimate luxury. They have more passions than hours in the day to chase them. They've spent years feeling stuck, having to trade 40 to 60 hours each week for a paycheck. These folks really shine in geographic arbitrage retirement. It's crucial to figure out what type you are before diving into this journey. The best way to find out is by observing how you feel during your weekends and holidays. If you find yourself feeling bored and lost without a work routine, you either need a job or you should work on building your ability to direct yourself before you retire. On the other hand, if you feel energized and engaged during your free time but get frustrated when it's time to head back to work, you're likely to flourish in retirement. This isn't just about how old you are or how much cash you have. It's really about your mindset. The next thing that shifts in geographic arbitrage retirement is your entire perspective on money. While you're employed, money is mostly about earning it. It's all about how much you bring in, if you received a raise, and how your earnings stack up against others. Every financial choice you make is seen through the lens of your income. When you're enjoying retirement through geographic arbitrage, relying on passive income from your investments, money shifts its focus entirely to spending and saving. You're not aiming to boost your earnings. Instead, you're looking to fine-tune your spending to enhance your quality of life within a set budget. This brings about a totally different mindset. You become acutely aware of the worth of your purchases. A dinner that costs $100 isn't just that amount. It represents 1/10 of your monthly food budget. Is that specific meal really worth that exchange? Sometimes it is, but often it isn't. This doesn't mean you're being stingy. It means you're being deliberate. You spend freely on things that truly enrich your life and cut back decisively on things that don't. Over time, You gain a clear understanding of what genuinely brings you joy, as opposed to what you've spent money on out of routine or societal pressure. A lot of folks never gain this insight because they're constantly in earning mode, always in a position to spend more by working harder. When your income is limited and established, you have to really think about your spending. This ends up being one of the major perks of retiring through geographic arbitrage. It's not just about being financially secure, but also about gaining a clearer understanding of your values when you have to make real choices. The next thing that occurs is that your perspective on time expands. When you're in the workforce and thinking about 3 or 4 decades until the usual retirement age, your planning feels pretty limited. You're focused on what's happening this year, this quarter, or even this month. But when you step away from your job at 40 with enough funds to last you indefinitely, you start to think in terms of 40 or 50-year plans. How do you envision your life at 60, 70, or 80? What becomes important over the span of decades instead of just years? This extended time frame shifts everything. Relationships take on greater significance. Your health becomes a bigger priority. The pursuit of knowledge matters more. Meanwhile, status and material possessions become less important. You come to understand that the next 40 years will be influenced by the habits, connections, and skills you cultivate. All right, so here's the deal. A lot of folks don't really think about this because they're stuck in the grind of short-term jobs, yearly evaluations, quarterly goals, and monthly expenses. When you consider geographic arbitrage retirement, it pushes you to think long-term, since you're working with a strategy that spans years. At first, this can feel a bit unsettling, but eventually, it turns into one of the best parts of that lifestyle. Just to clarify what I'm not suggesting, I'm not saying that everyone should chase after geographic arbitrage retirement. I'm not claiming that $300,000 is sufficient for everyone in every situation. I'm not arguing that living overseas is better than living in America. What I mean is that for a certain kind of person, someone who can be flexible with where they live, has moderate spending habits, can direct their own path, and is open to a different way of living, $300,000 can truly make work optional for as long as they want. This applies to maybe 20 to 30% of people, not the whole crowd, but a significant minority. If you find yourself in that small group, the usual retirement advice suggesting you need 2 or 3 million is completely off base. It could keep you grinding away for many more years than you really need to, since it relies on assumptions that just don't fit your situation. The retirement planning world tends to use the priciest scenario as the standard and labels everyone else's circumstances as unique cases. I'm here to tell you something different. Planning for retirement through geographic arbitrage should be the standard calculation, while costly domestic retirement should be seen as the exception that needs a solid reason. If you decide to stick around in America and work until you hit 2 million, that's fine. Just make sure it's a choice you genuinely want, not one based on what everyone else thinks is the norm. Figure out what true freedom would cost you personally, considering how flexible you can be with where you live. Then weigh whether putting in extra years at work is worth the added comfort of staying in the States. For some folks, it is. For others, it isn't. However, a lot of folks never take the time to do the math. They simply believe they need 2 million because that's what the calculators indicate. Here's the last piece of the puzzle. $300,000 at a 4% withdrawal rate brings in $12,000 each year. That's the bare minimum, assuming you have no other income coming in. But nearly everyone who's into geographic arbitrage retirement isn't sitting on zero extra income. The internet has made it super easy for anyone with skills that are in demand to earn money from anywhere. Teaching English online can earn you anywhere from $15 to $25 an hour. If you're good at freelance writing, you could make between $50 and $100 an hour. Consulting in your professional field can net you $100 to $300 an hour. Creating online courses can bring in passive income. Developing small software products can also generate passive income. None of this requires a traditional job. You can do all of it on your own time from anywhere with an internet connection. If you manage to pull in an extra $3,000 to $6,000 a year from some freelance gigs, your total annual income could jump from $12,000 to $15,000 or even $18,000. That extra cushion means you're not living on the edge. You've got some leeway for inflation, for unexpected big expenses, for trips, or whatever else comes up. A lot of folks enjoying geographic arbitrage in retirement notice that they end up making some money from projects they actually find fun. It's not because they need to. When you're not exhausted from a job, you've got the energy for creative and productive stuff. This kind of activity often brings in some cash. In the end, having $300,000 plus a modest income from enjoyable projects leads to a more comfortable and sustainable way of living compared to just $12,000 from savings alone. The retirement calculators out there usually assume no income after retirement, which might make sense for someone in their 70s, but isn't realistic for those in their 40s or 50s. People in their 40s or 50s who are no longer tied to mandatory jobs typically figure out ways to earn money doing things they genuinely want to do. This income doesn't really feel like work since it's optional and engaging, but it's genuine income that makes the $300,000 mark more than adequate. So let me break it down for you. $300,000 is sufficient to make having a job optional. If you're open to living in a more affordable area, spending wisely, staying adaptable, and being receptive to earning some cash from projects that spark your interest. That's a particular set of circumstances. A lot of folks won't fit into that, or might not want to. But for those who do, $300,000 is truly enough. This isn't just a theory, it's a reality. Thousands of individuals are living this way right now. The community of geographic arbitrage retirees is real and expanding. They're not struggling, they're not just getting by. They're enjoying comfortable, engaging, and meaningful lives with optional work and plenty of free time. They're diving into hobbies, building relationships, learning, and traveling. They're healthier than their counterparts who are still hustling in corporate roles. They're happier. They serve as evidence that the typical retirement schedule is not set in stone, that you don't actually need $2 million, and that you can achieve freedom way earlier than you've been led to believe. The real question is, if you're ready to challenge your beliefs, explore your options, fine-tune your spending, and make some out-of-the-box decisions. If you are, $300,000 and the year 2026 give you a solid goal and a tight time frame. Begin crunching the numbers. Start putting money aside. Begin scouting out different places. Start developing skills that allow you to earn income regardless of location. Freedom is nearer than you realize. The only thing left to ask is if you truly want it enough to go after it.